What's up and welcome in, everybody. It is your Friday, April 4th podcast. Hope you're doing well. A reminder for folks, if you have not done so, come over to the website where we continue to stream, push out film rooms, newsletters, podcasts. Important time of year, man. We are a measly 3 weeks from the draft, and we got some exciting stuff coming today. Founding members channel on Slack is really just nonstop drivel about what the Browns are going to do at pick 2. We have Jared Mueller, who we love to catch up with, and we have a fun topic today. But Jared, it seems like most of the things people are talking about are centered around less Shedeur Sanders conversation, more which of the Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter side are you on right now? And I think you're a lot like me, where you can see where they're coming from with both sides of the equation here. I had to kind of write about, is he as safe or as safe a selection as some think he is? And I mean, Abdul Carter there with the trends kind of around his non-workout scenario, some of that stuff. As you're listening to this today, you're probably seeing some Colorado Pro Day stuff, which should be going on. Important data to come out of that one. We'll see what ultimately the big names there end up running or doing or putting on as far as official data. But I'm curious though, Jared, like where we're sitting right now. I had Jeff Lloyd on yesterday. No secret, Jeff is an Abdul Carter guy, as most of the OVR guys are. Where you sit on this, if you had to make the selection right now, what we don't have some important information that could kind of sway you to, as we're doing this the night before the Colorado Pro Day, but where are you at right now on it?
For me, and this goes back to some time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, like fit's really important. And, how do you make an impact, right? And so, listen, I think Abdul Carter is going to be really good. I do have some general medical concerns, but those are more based on some whispers and some bone density conversations. And why is this? Why is that? And why isn't he working out? All of that kind of stuff. But in the end, I think you add Abdul Carter to Myles Garrett, you are adding asset upon asset. If you add Travis Hunter, you are adding a player who does something the Browns can't do or don't have, need more weapons in doing. And in the end, you have to have an offense, right? Like, yes, it's great to have a defense. Yes, everybody talks about the Philadelphia Eagles. The reality is AJ Smith, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Sorry, I combined the two of them, right? Jalen Hurts, all of that. Like, so for me, I believe they are at Travis Hunter. Do I think it's wrong to draft Abdul Carter? No. But for me, it's how do you surround the quarterback? How do you attack the quarterback? And how do you find the quarterback? I think they have the attack the quarterback. I think, Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, they've got some guys who can attack the quarterback with Myles Garrett. They need to make Kirk Cousins or whoever, they need to make their life easier.
Yeah, no, I do think I don't need to go through this with my listeners. I think they know where I'm at. I'm on the Travis Hunter train. And I the thing I keep pointing to is I needed Abdul Carter to be Myles Garrett, if that's the case. Like, this, no doubt, in a quarterback class that has some unevenness to it. And if you look back on Myles' class, obviously the guys that turned up in that class worked out just fine for the most part, at least portions of their career, ironically. But, there were questions around a lot of those quarterbacks, but there were guys that shot to the top of the board. We know Trubisky ended up being the closest to the top of the board, but it was like you just couldn't deny taking Myles number one. Everything about the data, everything about the person, everything it was too easy. It was too simple. You know what I mean? People were making it tricky at the end that the Browns didn't have any wavering issue with it. I don't have that same ease in my stomach about Carter. Do I think he's going to be a good football player? Yeah, my money would be on he's going to be good. But at this spot, with the needs and also another blue chip talent player at a thing that they need badly, it makes too much sense to me. So they know where I'm at. You know where I'm at. We'll see if it changes with the pro day data. He's an exceptional athlete. I would have a hard time imagining it moves all too much. I mean, his over under betting line for the 40 was 4.3 flat, which I think is pretty silly. Could he? Yeah, he certainly could. But I think anything in the 4.4s down to the cracking below that into that, like Jamar Chase and some of those others where they got into the 4.36 to 4.38 range, was like, that's where you say, okay, if he's running that number, the straight line speed mixed with the twitchiness, mixed with his anticipatory skills, it's just too obvious. The stuff as a route runner that is, I think, can still even be refined in the hands, the way he's one of the best. I think he's the best pure hands catcher in the class. So
Yep.
Yeah, it all adds up there. But what we want to do today is something a little different and a little more fun. So we're going to take a look at a couple different charts here, and then we're going to talk through what trades we would or wouldn't do. We've mapped out some for you, and then we're going to go through the simulator to show you what those ultimately yield when we make the move. So, all right, let's get going. Okay, first thing up in front of you is the trade chart you kind of use. And if you're not familiar with these, there's a couple different variations. There's the Jimmy Johnson one that had been around for a long time. PFF has refined their own. There's a Spielberger chart too. You can use whatever you want. I'm not really all too concerned about whether this is the most accurate for what every NFL team is using, but I do like to use it as a barometer so we're not just throwing out wild hallucinogenic trades that don't make any sense, right? So the thing we want to talk about first is what you're most willing to give up, Jared, to move up to the first overall pick, because what we're asking here is a team like Tennessee willing to separate with their opportunity to select Cam, and then also what does it cost? So if we're again kind of honing in on looking at what does this cost here on the trade chart value, right? It is 20, you got 3,000 for the first pick to 2,600. You need to make up 400 points. Can you do that with just 67? No, but you can maybe couple 67 with, 94, I think. So then you're going close to that 400 number, right? You're kind of right below it. I think Tennessee's coming off that pick though, Jared. It's the second round. It's the top of the second round. Now, maybe they're saying we're willing to maybe give up something with that. Like, I don't know what Tennessee has as the draft wears on. Maybe you're talking something in the like early portions of round 4 for them, or round 5. So it's like something like 2 and 33 for 1. And I'm just, again, guessing. I don't want to do the legwork on searching this, but they're probably at the top of the 5th or something like that for like 1 and 130. And that's the question is, do you believe in Cam Ward enough to give up your pick at the top of the second round? I think that's the question. And I'm going to be honest. I think I would take the swing. Because I think they are in a spot where they need an immensely talented quarterback, and this is the pathway to it. So I would, if I'm sitting in their seat and I'm the Browns in general, and I know I only have to give up, and it's not easy to stomach 33, but I can give that up and get the guy I feel like can lead our franchise, then I think I would do it. But I don't know where you stand on him.
It's hard for me because when the season ended and really nothing has changed, right? Cam Ward is still number 1 quarterback. Shedeur Sanders still is number 2. Cam Ward still would be my 4th quarterback last year, right? I would have him over Bo Nix and Michael Penix, but he'd still be my 4th quarterback. And he has his warts, right? In structure, I'm not real confident. Falling away, I'm not real confident he likes to play a real timing and rhythm kind of game. And so for me, and when I look at the Browns roster, it's not just about the quarterback. It's about the fact that like half their team is not under contract after this season, right? Like they have a lot of needs that are not just for this year, but beyond. And so for me, if I'm giving up 2 and 65 or whatever our number is in the 3rd round, plus Greg Newsome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, again, whatever player you want to add into that's realistic, and we don't have to go through all kind of the names, then sure, I'm in one of the 4 6-round picks. Sure. Yes, I'm going to move off of one of my 3rd rounders, but to move off of what should be a everyday starter for the next 10 years, 2 of them, right? 2 and 33 for a quarterback who is not a certainty, is not a clean, easy fit. Now, does he have the most upside in this class? Probably. Is he probably going to be really good? Sure. But I have Cam Ward as maybe a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, somewhere in that range. I think Shedeur Sanders can be a top 15 to 20 quarterback. Am I giving up a 2nd round pick for that much better of a prospect? And I'm just not. I like Ward a lot. I'm just not giving up 33, a player that should be a 10-year player, for the hope that Cam Ward can play in structure and doesn't have some bad habits, doesn't have the fumble issue, interceptions, all that.
Okay. I would do it. Jared would not. Good stuff. All right. So our first trade scenario that we're answering, would we do it or would we not, before the draft starts here, because it's unlikely that this trade would happen like, hey, the Browns are on the clock. This is something that is likely to happen before the start of the first round. And I'm talking probably the days leading up to this thing. But we want to look at the idea that the Browns move back a couple spots to 4, the slight move back, because what you're probably hoping if you're Cleveland is one of Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter sneak through there. Maybe you have an idea that the Giants are looking at maybe a tackle, some other angle other than one of the two, because you don't think. I guess the thing would be interesting to me is if you're looking at New England and they definitely don't have a need. The Giants don't have a needed edge. Thibodeau, Burns, they don't need an Abdul Carter. So then you're looking at where does this move? If New England comes up, they're probably taking Travis Hunter. So then it turns into can Carter slip? So that's the risk you're taking with no certainties here. So we're going to let that play out in real time. But the offer here is 1-4 and then 38 to move back 2 slots. I am not doing this trade personally. I would rather take Travis Hunter at that spot. But maybe, Jared, you would take this trade. So now your opinion is what I'm after.
So let me ask this real quick. Where would you take Shedeur Sanders?
I have him a mid to late first round grade. So you can start talking me into him. And I'm in the mold of Dart is kind of close by. So I'm probably in that. We have a scenario here mapped out in the 20s. 24 and 29 that I would be interested at that spot. I don't know that I love them enough given that I could get Travis. That's my point. If I'm trading out of 2, I don't believe in Hunter, I would probably just take the quarterback I love. But I think I believe in Hunter enough that I would take a swing on trying to come back maybe up and it matters. Like, is Pittsburgh going after a quarterback at 21? How certain do you feel at that, even though they get Aaron Rodgers, whatever? So we're looking at a couple scenarios, but I'm not resting my results of this draft getting a blue chip player on Shedeur. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. So
sure.
Interested your thought on that.
Yeah. So I'll just be honest. I think Shedeur Sanders is a Brock Purdy. Maybe people have used Andy Dalton recently. I think he's a really talented, really accurate passer of the football. And so for me, this is an easier trade because, again, we don't know where they think Shedeur is going to go. I think he's probably at the latest he's going 9, which we'll talk about here in a little bit probably. But I think the latest he's going is 9. And so for me, this is an easy trade because either I'm getting Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, or Abdul Carter, and I'm getting a high second round pick. For me, I'm okay with it. I'm probably not making the trade like you are, but I could see why they would do it. This is a trade where I go, yeah, I could see it.
I could see it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I could see them doing this, but I would still just really prefer to come out with Hunter. But let's go through what it would look like if they took, and we'll go out to pick 38 here, Jared. Let's do it. These will go fast. So we're going to start it. We're up at pick 4, and Travis Hunter, Carter, and Mason Graham win. So in this scenario, we have to pretend we're going to slide in Mason
Cam
Graham
Ward
out and put Cam Ward up at number 1. And everybody, I think, just maybe moves down, or I guess it's possible that Carter could be. New England doesn't have much pass rush. So if you're saying Cam Ward's going 1 and then the Giants could possibly take Travis Hunter, I think we just slide Mason Graham out, and then it turns into what player are you most interested at this spot? Because that becomes a little tricky. Would you not disagree? Do you think they would be moving out of this spot is what I would be interested in? Or do you think they would take a Mason Graham there?
Yeah, it's a really interesting place because, the second best wide receiver potentially in McMillan, Will Campbell, the top offensive tackle. You don't have your long-term left tackle. You don't know what you got in DeJuan Jones. I think it's too high for Tyler Warren. I think it's proof of why this is really difficult if we just know that we're not trading with Pittsburgh. But if we know Cam Ward is not on the board, I think Mason Graham's going to be really good. Him and Michael Hall, Myles Garrett, that's a really good defensive line. But I think looking at McMillan, the big body, does he have that catch radius that makes the quarterback better, like we're talking about with Hunter and his speed and his route running and all that kind of stuff? It makes it really interesting. Where are you going here at 4?
I honestly do not have a great feel for it. I would, if given this outcome, what does this team need at a premium position that's available? I would probably go tackle.
Yeah,
that's the route that I would go, and I prefer Armand to Will Campbell.
Sure.
I think I like the body type more. I like some of the. I think Campbell's tape is stronger, but I think as far as a guy developing and inside of what they want to do schematically, he makes a lot of sense. So we'll just go in this one, Armand, at this spot.
Yep. That's
Fully
who New England
recognizing
most.
that it would be Mason Graham would definitely be a player I would be interested in too, right? So but this is the risk. Like if it goes Cam, Hunter, Abdul, or some variety, even maybe someone, New York moves out of 3 for somebody moving up for him, that's definitely one of the routes this could go. So that's the risk. And it's actually interesting to paint that risk at that spot so people can see it. Pick 33, we'll just, at this spot, we already took a tackle. So I'm interested in something to make this offense better. If I can find it, I really love Colston Loveland. I think he's going to be really good.
Let's do it.
Let's do a Colston Loveland at that spot. And then here's like who would be there around pick 38.
Yeah, this is what you're getting. You took Armand instead of Travis Hunter. So this is what that benefit is, right? Like, is this that running back? Is there a quarterback available? I know PFF is lower on some of these guys, but this is what you're getting in exchange for not getting Travis Hunter.
Right. Yep. So names I'd be interested in at the spot. I think Darius Alexander is a really fine defensive tackle. If you don't take Mason Graham, I'd be interested in that one. Even though I think he's, the stats is certainly look good. I think there's a little bit of like right at the age borderline, but I think he'd be fine. Connerly, if you didn't take a tackle, also very interesting at this spot, a guy I mock there a lot. If you're looking at corners, like your die-hard corner guy, Shavon Ravel, the East Carolina kid, is a lot of fun. And then if you're a running back person, I would personally be taking Quinshon Judkins around pick 38, but that's just me. But this is good, though. It gives us a really good example of who is available at these spots. We're going to do more mock drafts later, but I think, again, if you're just like, hey, we get to pick up pick 38, you can still get a pretty damn talented player here.
Obviously. I know it's a setup for fans, but who do they have as quarterbacks available still?
Yeah. So we would be looking at Milroe, which is probably the swing that they would take, kind of adding that additional pick, and then the Will Howard.
And then they're very low on
Jackson
Dart, like me.
Yeah.
So me and PFF are agreeable on Jackson Dart.
Okay.
And
so
you are not.
Yeah. I'm a little higher on him, but again, it's probably a quarterback right here. You're probably looking at Milroe or Dart or whoever. So you would say take Milroe at the top of the board, and then you would look at your picks that we would get through 3 rounds. You would add that additional one. So you'd get a tackle you like, a tight end you really like, a young one, and a Milroe. So
that's a pretty improved offensive group, right? Because even if you put McMillan at 4 and you got Connerly, or I always get his name wrong, the tackle, like you can do some of that. Like there's just a lot of creativity there, but you don't have a Travis Hunter.
Yep. Take Sampson at that spot.
Oh,
so you got a nice little running back. You take Harold Fannin, but he already took a tight end. That's the interesting spot here, is you got a lot of pieces in place, and maybe you like Isaiah Bond, who they're having a visit with, and then 104. We'll just wrap this puppy up, and
that's a new offense, bud.
Yeah. So then you could take just an edge, maybe like Ashton Gallote there. So maybe you go that route. So there's your setup. We went through the structure here to bring in some talent. That's an offensive explosion, to a lot of talent influx there. So, and then you edge folks got another edge. All righty, let's go to our next hypothetical right now. Okay, Jared, we're moving further. This is tough. You're going back to 1.9. There are some people who believe that the Browns should do this sort of thing because they have missed out on all the first round picks, and they should be gathering talent, as much talent, high end pick talent as they can. I get that. 9 is the absolute furthest I would go. And I don't even love it, but hey, I want to get an additional one next year. I don't like Shador. I don't like Dart enough. And I think there's more quarterbacks coming next year. Klubnik, Aller, maybe potentially the Manning scenario arrives. There's obviously some hope that maybe next year's a little better, and we can accumulate. We can get a nice pick inside the top 75 and still get a pretty good player at 1.9. And to make this work mathematically, we threw back pick 16 in the 6th round, 192. So it's 1-2 and 192 for the 9th pick, the 71st pick, and then an additional round 1 pick from, again, I think a New Orleans team that's going to be pretty bad anyway. So that's probably going to be a pretty good pick. Yeah. So that would be New Orleans is in love with Shador Sanders. Like that would be the angle. They think Cleveland's going to take him, and there you go.
Or at least New York is going to take him.
It would still be hard. It would still be hard. This is one where I would say I get it. I understand it. They're being patient. This backs up what Jimmy was talking about, but it wouldn't be fun for me. I would have a hard time moving out of the second pick and Travis Hunter. So I just don't know that I would do it, but I could understand it. I wouldn't be mad. I would just be more uneasy than I have ever been. What do you land on this?
Yeah, I think it's hard because you're, again, like I talked about with where their roster is moving forward, it's hard because they don't have the top end talent and they don't have the depth, right? Like they've got some top end players and Joku's and the Miles Garrett's of the world, even Jerry Judy and those guys. And I like Delpit a lot and
Yeah.
JOK Ward. They just don't have a ton of depth. And I think that's where, if New Orleans had the 15th pick in the second round instead of the 7th pick in the third round, like I would start to get a little more comfortable with this deal, just to kind of get a little bit higher. But in the end, I do think Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are unique prospects, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so even if they had number 3, right? If Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter were going to be off the board 1 and 2, and they had the third pick, I'm probably pretty comfortable with this because I'm not obviously Cam Ward skews that a little bit, but it's just hard when you have 2 uber talented players and the 1 quarterback to really move out of those top 2 and 3 picks. So yeah, I think this will be fun to talk about and to think about, but that's another year of hoping and wishing and waiting.
Yep. I'm with you.
That's just not there.
Yeah, I don't love it. I certainly would be like, oh boy, this takes a lot of faith. This shows that I guess they really are being patient with these head coach GM combo. But you would have to hope that you land, like, it's not out of the realm of it's a very similar trade to what the Bears gave up with Carolina, and then it got them the first pick in the next draft. So I'd get it. Certainly. Let's look at what the 9th pick would lead to available here. So this is going a little more naturally. And again, this would be the Saints trading up for, let me try to zoom in here, guys. I know it can be hard to see, and I'll try to lay this out for folks on the audio side. The Titans go Cam Ward at 1. The Saints moved up for Travis Hunter, which is not, if he runs really well and he's explosive, it's not crazy. It's not as crazy.
I mean, would you trade up for Jamar Chase-ish, right? Like,
yeah. I don't disagree. Giants, let's just say the Patriots Giants trade, so that you'd have the Giants taking Shador, Patriots taking Carter, Jags take Jalen Walker. Not crazy. That's a name that keeps going up the board. Raiders taking Ashton Genty, the Jets taking Mason Graham, and the Panthers taking Armand Membo. So you got, listen, some interesting names on the board here. Tyler Warren, Michael Williams, Colston Loveland is kind of the higher names for them. I mean, I think if you're at pick 9 and you could get Will Campbell, though, wouldn't you feel pretty good about that outcome? I mean, I think as far as like the 2 tackles, I see way out in front of everybody, but the other names that are, I mean, Jahdae Barron is the top corner for a lot of folks on the board, right there with Will Johnson. Tet McMillan is sitting there too. So if you wanted a skill player, a wide receiver, I have concerns about Tet's like drive, his like some of that stuff makes me uneasy. I'm not taking a tight end at 4. I just can't get into that world. Too high, too much. But I mean, I think Shamar Stewart is a very interesting, not uber productive. The statistical stuff will make people shy away. The market share stuff shy away. But boy, as far as like maybe one of the best testing overall edge prospects, like right there with,
and they
Miles
used him
right
in some really interesting ways that took away his ability to make that kind of impact.
Agreed. Now Jackson Dart's available at 9 if you were quarterback hunting. That's what's available though. So in this universe, let's just say they're going to take the best skill position player. So we'll say they draft Tet here.
McMillan,
Okay. So they like him. We'll take Tet at 9. Kind of again, so people think some Drake London territory for him. We'll let this run out and make the additional pick that we get so that you guys can see what that looks like. This one's moving a little slower than the other ones.
Come on, ESPN.
Just a second. All right, top of the second round, we can get Omarion Hampton, James Pierce, Mike Green is interesting, the edge rusher from Marshall, Walter Nolan, Trevion Henderson, Tyler Show's available for you folks that want to have an aneurysm, Elijah Arroyo. Right, so it's got a lot of people on edge. There's Darius Alexander's there, Judkins. So again, these rankings site to site kind of alter a little bit, but
I can be pretty confident that they will not be drafting James Pierce Jr. or Mike Green. We
Yep.
can go ahead and get rid of those guys. That's
Well,
not happening.
no, they're not. All right. So, I mean, for the sake of just picking somebody, maybe they really love Elijah Royo. We're going tight in there. Continue to get pass
Build
catchers
the
in a better
offense. Yeah.
spot. There we go. Or let's live in a world where they take a running back. Maybe they like Hampton. They think he's a first round grade and he's there at 33. There we go.
He's
I don't
pretty
think they're
darn
going to do
good.
it. I don't think they're going to go that route, but it's possible. There's too much running back skill in this draft to be taking one that high. Unless, again, maybe they love Hampton or Judkins
There
or
are
one of the
some people that see Hampton close to Genty, and
Yeah, I'm
that's
not in that
I
group.
don't, but it's
Yeah.
interesting.
It is at least moderately interesting. These running back ratings are going to be all over the board. Like I had Judkins ahead of Hampton. And I know that like Matt, the RSP stuff there for Matt Waldman has Hampton at like 9. He is way down on him. And again, that was the guy, to walk you back a little bit. Matt was one of the first guys like really in on Nick Chubb as the best back in his class. So now we're in round 3. We have Mason Taylor, who I think makes a ton of sense for them, given the situation. But this draft, we've already taken a tight end, so you're kind of out there. Jalen Noel is an interesting wide receiver option. I think there's some other, I wonder, the guy who I think is just going to go way sooner is, let me see. Yeah, Kyle Williams from Washington State. He's going to be a top 60 pick. Pretty convinced of it. All right, so tackles, the Boston College kid who I think is fun. Ozzie Trapillo is still there. And in this one so far, we have taken Tet and a tight end. I'm probably leaning that tackle right there, but let's see what else is there. Edge World.
It's wild. Remember, Emory Jones was a top 5 pick. Kelvin Banks was a top 5-10 pick. And now we're talking 4th round picks.
That's how it goes, man. Every class, it seems to move in that direction. Xavier Watts still available. Makuba's available. Yep. Corners available. Quincy Riley's fun. Parrish, but nobody I'm dying to take there. So I think you're looking at, in my opinion, Trapillo right here. Get a tackle that you feel like you have a decent chance to be.
What is your thoughts on Birch? I haven't done a lot of work on him, the defensive end.
Not my type. Too stiff. And he can't win with speed. And if you're only a power guy, I just get nervous about that. So I'm in between on him.
And that's the only reason I ask is they have seemed to like that across from Myles Garrett.
Well, you could take him here in this scenario because you get pick 71. So Birch is available. Noel's still available. So you could get the wide receiver you want.
And that's what's fun about this trade, right? Like we don't love it as a trade, but you now have 2 picks in the top of the 3rd round and you have the Bills pick at the end of the 3rd round. So in a really good draft into the hundreds, like in the 90s, hundreds, you now have 3 picks in that, in that 3rd round.
Yep. So let's say you go Milrow again there just to keep it consistent with what quarter they're going to come away with a quarterback somewhere. So in this draft, you'd have Tet, Hampton, Trapillo, and Milrow. That's kind of rewriting the offense. That's a quarterback option swing. That's a tackle you think can start down the line for you. A running back you think is going to be a dynamic difference maker and a starting X. So there you go. That's what you get moving to 9 and picking up pick 71.
And you're picking up, you've got 2 first round picks in 2026.
Yep. There you go. Which one we think is going to be pretty damn good from New Orleans. So that's it. All right. So we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back from break and then we're going to stay on for the subscribers to the website where we're going to look at trades going from 33 forward. Would we do it? That scenario I think is fun to entertain. So if you are on the free side, audio and video, maybe on YouTube, come over to the website. Your first month is only $10. It's very cheap. And then come on over. Let's do it. And then you get a little trial in there too if you want to see if it's worth your time. So check that out. The link is in the description to this podcast. Otherwise, if you're out for the day, we'll catch you tomorrow. If you're a subscriber, we'll be right back after this break.